Most men think intimacy begins in the bedroom. But the truth is, it starts long before that. It begins in the smallest moments. How you speak, how you listen, how you make her feel safe, without saying a single word. When a man reaches a certain stage in life, intimacy shifts. It's no longer about speed, performance, or proving something. It's about presence. It's about learning to slow down enough to actually feel what's happening between you and her. Because after 50, your body, your emotions, even your desires begin to speak a different language. And if you don't learn to listen, you'll miss what truly matters. See, performance fades. That's the nature of life. But presence, that quiet confidence, that emotional depth, only grows stronger with time if you allow it. The men who understand this never lose their spark. In fact, they become more magnetic, more grounded, more in tune with what women actually crave. It's not about how long you last, or how much you can do. It's about how deeply you can connect. When a woman feels your attention, not your anxiety, everything changes. She softens. She opens. She feels safe enough to express her own desire, her own rhythm. That's when intimacy becomes effortless. When the connection deepens beyond the physical. It's not about being the man you were at 25. It's about being the man who knows himself at 55. The one who's not chasing performance, but creating connection. Most men never realize how much their energy affects a woman's body. When you're tense, when you're distracted, when you carry stress or pressure into the moment, she feels it instantly. Your body might be there, but your mind isn't, and she knows. Presence, on the other hand, is when you're completely there. Not trying to get anywhere, not rushing to impress. Just feeling the moment. Feeling her breathing, her warmth, her heartbeat, and letting your own energy meet hers with calm intention. That's the real secret. Because as you age, your hormones change. Your blood flow slows, and your body begins to need more care. But instead of fighting that, you can use it. You can turn it into awareness. You can learn to tune into your body like never before. The older you get, the more sensitive you can become. If you stop chasing performance and start listening to what your body is trying to tell you. Presence is a discipline. It's something you practice every day. Not just in intimacy, but in the way you show up in life. When you eat, breathe, walk, or even listen to someone speak, are you really there? Or are you always somewhere else, planning, worrying, escaping? That's where most men lose their strength. Not in their muscles, not in their hormones, but in their attention. Because attention is energy. And energy is what a woman truly feels. You can't fake presence. You can't fake peace. The older woman knows the difference immediately. She's not looking for perfection. She's looking for presence. She's looking for the man who's calm enough to let her be herself, who's secure enough to listen without trying to control. At this point in life, intimacy becomes a mirror. It reflects how deeply connected you are to yourself. If you're restless, disconnected, or distracted, intimacy feels distant. But if you've learned to slow down, to breathe, to find beauty in small moments, that energy translates into everything you do. You touch differently. You kiss differently. You make love differently. Because you're not doing it to escape life. You're doing it to experience it more fully. And that's where real confidence comes from. The kind that doesn't need to be loud or dominant. It's quiet, but powerful. It's the confidence of a man who knows that he doesn't have to chase approval or prove anything to anyone. His presence alone speaks for him. His calmness invites trust. His attention creates safety. When you live this way, your relationships transform. You start to understand that intimacy isn't something you perform. It's something you share. It's not about how much you can give physically, but how deeply you can connect emotionally. Women feel that. They crave that. And when they find it, they remember it for the rest of their lives. So, if you're a man over 50, remember this. Your greatest strength is not in how hard you push, but in how deeply you feel. The most powerful thing you can bring to a woman is your undivided presence. When you stop performing and start being, you'll discover that what she wanted all along was never perfection. It was you, fully there, fully alive, and fully present. Because presence, not performance, is what keeps love alive. Most men don't realize how much something as simple as hydration affects every part of their health, energy, and even intimacy. You can take all the supplements, eat all the right foods, and still feel tired, sluggish, or disconnected if your body isn't properly hydrated. Water is life. It's what allows every cell in your body to communicate, to move, to repair, and to create energy. Yet most men, especially after 50, are living in a quiet state of dehydration. And they don't even know it. When your body doesn't get enough water, the first thing that suffers is circulation. Your blood becomes thicker, your vessels constrict, and your heart has to work harder to move oxygen and nutrients throughout your system. That's why you might feel that subtle fatigue that never really goes away. You might notice your hands and feet are colder, your energy drops midday, or that your recovery after exercise takes longer than it used to. Those are early signs that your body isn't flowing freely. And circulation isn't just about energy. It's about vitality, in every sense of the word. Blood flow is what keeps your organs nourished, your brain sharp, your heart strong, and yes, your sexual health alive. When circulation improves, everything improves. You feel clearer, stronger, more awake. Your mood shifts. Your confidence rises. Because your body finally starts communicating again. I've met so many men who chase complex solutions to simple problems. They want a pill to fix what water could have prevented. They want instant results instead of long-term renewal. But your body doesn't work that way. It thrives on rhythm, consistency, and care. Hydration isn't just about drinking water when you're thirsty. It's about creating an inner environment where your blood, your cells, your heart, and your hormones can work together again. Every drop of water you drink is a message to your body. I'm taking care of you. It signals your systems to open up, to cleanse, to heal. It improves the elasticity of your vessels, allowing blood to move more easily. That means better oxygen delivery, better nutrient absorption, and a stronger connection between your body and mind. And when that connection is restored, your confidence and vitality return naturally, not through force, but through balance. Men often underestimate the emotional side of physical health. Dehydration doesn't just dry your body, it dulls your spirit. You feel less alert, less grounded, more irritable. Your patience fades, your motivation drops, and your body feels heavier. Hydration restores not just the physical flow, but the emotional one. It clears mental fog, stabilizes mood, and brings calm energy back into your life. Think about it this way: your blood is your body's river. When the river flows, life thrives. When it stagnates, everything begins to decay. If you've ever felt disconnected from your energy, from your focus, or even from your partner, start by asking yourself, how is my flow? How am I moving through my days? Do I nourish myself? Or do I constantly push and deplete without refilling? As you age, the body's thirst signals weaken. You might not feel thirsty, but your tissues are craving hydration. The body holds onto what it gets, recycling old fluids that no longer carry life. This can affect everything from your metabolism to your sexual response. Proper hydration literally revitalizes your cells. It helps your heart pump more efficiently, your brain think more clearly, and your body perform more naturally. It's not about stimulation, it's about restoration. And it's not only water that matters, it's movement. Circulation depends on how you live, not just what you drink. Sitting for long hours, poor posture, tight muscles, all of these restrict blood flow. When you move, even gently, you encourage your body to distribute nutrients where they're needed. A short walk after meals, deep breathing, stretching. These small acts can transform your internal chemistry. They help your blood move freely, your oxygen levels rise, and your heart rate balance out. Hydration and circulation are partners. One supports the other. When you stay hydrated, your blood becomes a smooth current, not a slow trickle. When you move regularly, you help that current stay alive. This combination creates a foundation for true vitality. Not temporary energy, but lasting strength. It's what allows your body to respond with freedom, your mind with clarity, and your heart with steadiness. Many men only realize this when they start losing energy or intimacy. They look for solutions outside themselves, when the truth has always been inside. Your body is wise. It's waiting for you to reconnect. Hydration and circulation are your body's way of communicating that wisdom. When you honor them, you feel younger without trying to be young. You feel alive without chasing intensity. This is what most men overlook. They chase performance but ignore flow. They seek strength but forget softness. True vitality isn't about more effort. It's about more awareness. It's about creating conditions where your body doesn't have to fight to feel alive. When your blood moves freely, your thoughts become clearer, your emotions settle, and your relationships deepen. Because when the body flows, the heart opens. And that's where real vitality begins. When men start to feel a drop in energy, confidence, or desire, the first thing they often blame is testosterone. They think, my levels must be low, or maybe I need to boost my hormones. But what most don't realize is that testosterone isn't the only thing that fades with age. Attention does too. And that loss of attention, that quiet drifting away from the present moment, often does more damage than any hormonal change ever could. See, when you were younger, you probably noticed everything. You were curious, alert, and driven by instinct. You paid attention to details. How she smiled, how she spoke, how she moved. That natural focus made you magnetic. But as life went on, responsibilities grew heavier. Work, stress, family, bills. All of it started to pull your attention in 1,000 directions. Over time, you began to live more in your head and less in your body. You stopped listening to the subtle cues. Your own body's signals, your partner's energy, your emotional state. When attention fades, connection fades with it. You can't feel deeply if you're not fully there. You can't perform with confidence if your mind is elsewhere. And that's what happens to so many men after 50. It's not that they've lost their ability to connect. It's that they've forgotten how to be present. They're distracted, overstimulated, and often disconnected from their own inner rhythm. Hormones do decline with age, yes, but so does focus, patience, and mindfulness. You start rushing through moments that deserve your full presence. You touch without feeling. You listen without hearing. You look without really seeing. And what suffers most isn't just intimacy. It's the quiet sense of vitality that comes from being fully alive. Attention is the foundation of connection. When a man pays attention to his partner, to his breath, to the sensations in his own body, he becomes more grounded, more alive. It's what allows your body and mind to work in harmony. Testosterone helps you act, but attention helps you feel. And when you bring both together, that's when real confidence emerges. The truth is, your mind and hormones are deeply connected. When you live under constant distraction, your body releases stress hormones that suppress testosterone naturally. You can't force vitality while living in chaos. The body shuts down to protect itself. It saves energy for survival, not for connection or pleasure. That's why many men find that, once they start slowing down, breathing deeply, and focusing again, their energy, mood, and performance begin to rise, without changing anything else. Paying attention is not about trying harder. It's about being still enough to notice what's already happening. It's learning to feel your heartbeat, your breath, the warmth in your body. It's tuning into your partner. The way she responds, the rhythm of her voice, the pauses between her words. Those small details awaken your nervous system, helping your body relax and engage at the same time. When you're truly attentive, your energy becomes magnetic. Your partner feels seen, not just touched. She feels understood, not just heard. And that creates something far deeper than any physical act ever could. It creates trust. It creates desire. It creates safety. And when a woman feels safe in your presence, her body opens naturally. That's when connection becomes effortless. Attention is medicine. It restores balance to the body and clarity to the mind. It calms the nervous system and releases tension stored from years of rushing and performing. Most men don't realize how much energy they lose by constantly being on. But when you slow down and focus, that energy returns. You stop leaking power through distraction, and you begin to move with intention again. This is where maturity becomes your greatest strength. Younger men rely on intensity, older men can rely on depth. And depth only comes through attention. The man who knows how to notice, to feel, to truly be present, that's the man who never loses his spark. Because while youth fades, awareness deepens. So if you've been feeling less connected, less driven, less alive, don't just look at your hormone levels. Look at your habits of attention. How often are you truly present? How often do you allow yourself to feel instead of fix? How often do you breathe before you react, or listen before you speak? These moments, simple as they seem, rebuild your inner strength far more effectively than anything external ever could. When you reclaim your attention, your body responds. Your hormones begin to balance naturally. Your energy steadies. Your sleep improves. Your intimacy deepens. Because your body follows your awareness. It always has. And when your awareness is rooted in calm presence, rather than restless performance, you begin to experience what real vitality feels like again. The truth is, most men don't need more stimulation. They need more stillness. They don't need higher testosterone. They need deeper attention. Because attention awakens what's already within you. It reconnects you to your body, your partner, and your purpose. And once you rediscover that connection, everything else, energy, confidence, and desire, begins to flow back naturally. Because what truly fades with age is not your power, it's your awareness of it. And once you bring your attention home again, that power never leaves you. Most men grow up believing that strength is built in the body, in the muscles, in endurance, in how much they can handle or overcome. But as life goes on, you begin to realize that the body only reflects what's happening inside. True strength doesn't come from what you can lift or control. It comes from how deeply you can feel, connect, and remain steady through it all. Emotional connection, especially as you age, is not a weakness. It's the very thing that keeps your physical strength alive. When you're emotionally connected, your body responds differently. Your nervous system calms, your heartbeat steadies, your breathing deepens. The constant rush and stress that used to drain you begin to fade. You stop fighting your own body and start working with it. That's when real vitality begins to return. Not because you're forcing it, but because you've created the conditions for it to grow naturally. Science has proven what many people overlook. Your emotions are not separate from your body. They live inside it. Every time you feel joy, peace, or love, your body releases hormones that protect your heart, strengthen your immune system, and improve your circulation. Every time you feel disconnected, stressed, or lonely, the opposite happens. Your body tenses, your blood vessels tighten, your energy drops. Over time, that disconnection becomes exhaustion, not just emotionally, but physically. That's why emotional connection is one of the most powerful forms of medicine for men. When you open up to connection, with your partner, with life, with yourself, you reduce the stress that's been silently wearing you down. You start sleeping better. Your digestion improves. Your mind becomes clearer. You have more energy not because you've taken something, but because you've released the invisible weight that's been draining you for years. Men often think that being emotional means being weak or losing control. But the truth is, emotional connection is control, the highest kind. It's the ability to stay centered while feeling deeply. It's the strength to be vulnerable without collapsing, to express what's real instead of hiding behind silence. That's what women respond to, and that's what your body thrives on. When you let yourself connect emotionally, something shifts in your physiology. Your body stops producing so much cortisol, the stress hormone that steals your energy, lowers your testosterone, and slows your recovery. Instead, it begins to produce oxytocin and dopamine, hormones that restore balance, healing, and focus. You literally become stronger by allowing yourself to feel. And that's not just poetic. It's biological. The body can't distinguish between physical danger and emotional isolation. When you bottle up emotions, when you disconnect from your feelings or your partner, your body enters survival mode. Blood flow restricts. Muscles tighten. The heart works harder. It's like driving with the brakes on. But when you allow connection, when you let someone in, or when you speak your truth, the brakes release. Your body relaxes. Your energy flows. And suddenly everything starts working better again. That's why men who have strong emotional bonds live longer, recover faster, and experience better intimacy. It's not just love, it's chemistry. Emotional warmth improves circulation, stabilizes blood pressure, and strengthens the immune system. Your relationships literally shape your biology. And when your body feels safe, emotionally safe, it starts to heal itself. You might notice this in simple moments. When someone truly listens to you, your chest loosens. When you laugh deeply, your breathing opens. When you feel understood, your shoulders drop. Those are physical reactions to emotional connection. That's your body remembering how to feel safe. And a body that feels safe is a body that can perform, recover, and thrive. Men are often taught to separate the emotional from the physical, to handle stress silently, to stay tough, to keep going no matter what. But that separation costs you. It makes you harder, not stronger. It isolates you from the very energy that would keep you alive. Because the truth is, you can't be strong if you're disconnected. You can't have real endurance if your heart is closed. Emotional connection gives your strength direction. It turns effort into purpose. It gives you resilience that doesn't come from willpower, but from balance. When your emotions are integrated, your body becomes efficient. You stop wasting energy fighting your own feelings. Instead, you start using that energy to build, to love, to create. And this doesn't just apply to romantic relationships. It starts with the one you have with yourself. The way you speak to yourself, the patience you show your body, the kindness you offer your own mind. When you're emotionally connected to yourself, your body listens. It responds with gratitude, with power, with balance. So many men are walking around exhausted, not because they're physically weak, but because they're emotionally disconnected. They've built walls instead of bridges. But every wall drains energy, and every bridge restores it. When you choose connection over protection, your entire physiology changes. You breathe easier. You think clearer. You love deeper. And that inner calm becomes your greatest strength. Because emotional connection isn't a distraction from strength. It's the source of it. There comes a point in every man's life when he realizes that what truly draws a woman in isn't the shape of his body, the color of his hair, or how youthful he appears. It's his emotional maturity. Because no matter how physically attractive you may be, what she really feels, what she really responds to, is the energy of a man who knows himself. A man who doesn't react impulsively, who listens without defensiveness, who has learned that strength isn't about control but understanding. You see, physical attraction might catch her attention, but emotional depth keeps her heart. And that's what most men overlook. They spend years working on the exterior, the muscles, the clothes, the image, yet neglect the inner qualities that truly create desire. A woman can feel when you're present, when you're calm, when you're stable inside yourself. She can also feel when you're lost, restless, or trying too hard to impress. That inner state communicates more than words ever could. When a man matures emotionally, his presence changes. He no longer seeks validation from her reactions. He doesn't need to prove his worth or demand constant reassurance. He's comfortable in silence. He knows when to lead and when to listen. And that, for a woman, is intoxicating. It's the kind of energy that makes her feel safe enough to be soft, seen enough to open, and desired in a way that goes beyond the surface. Women are intuitive. They sense your energy before they analyze your words. When you're grounded, when your emotions are balanced, when your confidence doesn't come from arrogance, but from awareness, she feels it instantly. Emotional maturity tells her, This man won't disappear when things get hard. This man can hold space for me. That's the kind of strength that captures her, because it's rare, and it's real. Many men confuse confidence with dominance. They think being loud, assertive, or in control will make them attractive. But what women crave isn't dominance. It's depth. It's emotional steadiness. It's the feeling of being with a man who doesn't lose himself in chaos. A man who can stay calm when emotions rise. A man who isn't afraid to be vulnerable, but never collapses into it. That kind of maturity gives her something to trust. And trust is the foundation of all lasting desire. Emotional maturity means you can handle her emotions without taking them personally. When she's upset, you listen instead of defending yourself. When she's distant, you approach with curiosity, not accusation. You understand that her emotions aren't attacks. They're invitations. Invitations for deeper connection, for understanding, for partnership. And when you can respond with empathy rather than ego, that's when a woman's respect and attraction grow in ways that never fade. The truth is, emotional maturity is what keeps love alive when physical attraction naturally changes. Bodies age, looks fade, but presence, patience, and emotional intelligence become more magnetic with time. They turn ordinary moments into intimacy, and arguments into opportunities to grow closer. Women don't want perfection, they want peace. They want the kind of man who brings calm instead of chaos, who listens instead of lectures, who can meet them where they are instead of trying to control how they feel. And the beauty of this is that emotional maturity doesn't come from age alone. It comes from awareness, from reflection, from making mistakes and actually learning from them. It's the moment you realize that reacting is easy, but responding with care takes real strength. It's when you stop trying to win and start trying to understand. That shift, simple as it sounds, transforms every relationship in your life. When a man learns to listen without judgment, to express himself without aggression, and to stay present even in discomfort, he becomes irresistible. Because women don't fall in love with potential, they fall in love with presence. They don't want a man who hides behind charm. They want a man who can be real, who can handle his emotions without running from them. That's what makes her feel safe, desired, and seen. Emotional maturity also changes how you see yourself. It quiets the noise of comparison, the anxiety of not being enough. You start to realize that you don't have to perform to be valued. You don't have to chase approval. You just have to show up. Consistently, honestly, and fully. That's what creates connection. That's what creates lasting attraction. And yes, it takes courage. Because being emotionally mature means being accountable. It means facing your own insecurities instead of projecting them. It means choosing to grow rather than blame. But the reward is worth it. Peace, confidence, and the kind of love that deepens instead of fades. A woman doesn't want a perfect man. She wants a real one. One who has walked through his storms and learned to stand with grace. One who knows that strength isn't about suppressing emotion, but mastering it. Because the man who understands himself can understand her. And when he does, everything else, attraction, trust, passion, follows naturally. Because at the end of the day, what she truly desires isn't your perfection. It's your emotional presence. For most of their lives, men are taught that strength means control. Control over their emotions, over situations, over outcomes. They're told to be unshakable, tough, and stoic. But as time passes, that version of strength starts to crumble. It becomes exhausting to maintain, and it starts to isolate you from the very things that make life rich: love, tenderness, and connection. The truth is, real strength doesn't live in the armor. It lives in the softness you've learned to protect. It's in the balance between power and peace. This is what I call gentle power. The kind of strength that doesn't need to shout, that doesn't need to prove itself, because it already knows its value. Gentle power isn't weakness. It's refinement. It's what happens when a man has faced himself deeply enough to no longer be ruled by fear or ego. It's the quiet confidence of someone who knows he doesn't have to control everything to feel secure. He's learned that letting go doesn't mean losing power. It means trusting it. And that kind of strength, the strength that comes from calm awareness, is the most magnetic energy a man can carry. You see, real power doesn't come from force. It comes from presence. It's the way you walk into a room, and people feel your steadiness without you saying a word. It's the way you handle conflict without aggression, disappointment without collapse, and love without needing to possess. That's the kind of strength that women feel safe with, that other men quietly respect, and that your own body thrives under. Because when your energy is balanced, when your mind and emotions are in harmony, your whole system works better. Your heart, your hormones, your health, everything. Gentle power is strength with wisdom. It's knowing that you can stand firm without being rigid. It's having boundaries without building walls. It's the ability to express emotion without losing stability. This is what separates emotional maturity from emotional chaos. The man who has gentle power doesn't suppress his emotions. He channels them. He allows anger to become clarity, sadness to become compassion, and desire to become connection. The older you get, the more you realize that the world doesn't need more dominance. It needs more groundedness. It needs men who are strong enough to stay calm when others panic, patient enough to listen when others argue, and humble enough to admit when they're wrong. That's leadership. That's strength. And that's the kind of energy that transforms relationships, families, and communities. Gentle power is also deeply physical. When you carry tension in your shoulders, your jaw, your chest, it's a reflection of inner resistance. Your body is trying to hold everything in to stay guarded. But the moment you learn to release, to breathe deeply, to soften your posture, you create flow again. Your circulation improves, your stress hormones drop, and your vitality returns. That's what happens when your body learns to trust your mind again. When it senses safety, it begins to heal. And it's not about being passive or losing your edge. In fact, the man who learns to balance strength with softness becomes more powerful than ever. Because he's not driven by impulse. He's not reacting. He's responding. He's not chasing. He's attracting. His presence carries quiet authority. Not from dominance, but from depth. He doesn't need to prove who he is, because his energy already communicates it. When you embody gentle power, your relationships change. You stop competing with your partner and start collaborating. You stop needing to be right and start choosing to be real. You start realizing that true intimacy isn't found in control, it's found in trust. When a woman feels that kind of strength, the one that listens, that understands, that protects without suffocating, she relaxes. She feels safe to be herself, to open up, to meet you on that deeper, emotional level. And that's when connection becomes effortless. Because you're no longer performing. You're just being. You're not trying to impress, you're present. The same energy that once went into defending or proving now fuels peace, clarity, and attraction. Gentle power brings stability to chaos and softness to strength. The perfect balance that every man secretly craves, but rarely learns to cultivate. When you reach that balance, life begins to flow differently. Stress doesn't break you anymore, it teaches you. Love doesn't scare you, it grounds you. Aging doesn't weaken you, it refines you. Gentle power is what allows you to grow stronger with time. Not harder, not colder, but wiser, calmer, and more alive. Because real strength isn't about how loud you can roar. It's about how quietly you can hold peace in the middle of the storm.